Hello, I'm Mark Feinman, and I obviously need no introduction. Which is a good thing, because I'm here not for myself, but to introduce not one, but two winners of two fabulous books. The first is Ezra Glinter's biography of Menachem Mendel Schneerson, entitled Becoming the Messiah, a biography of the seventh Lubavitcher Rebbe. And Menachem Mendel Schneerson, who is visage on the right side of the slide, has become literally an iconic Jewish figure. The photograph you're looking at, which is on the cover of Ezra Glinter's biography, has become a meme signifying both the Hasidic movement that Schneerson led as Rebbe and the messianic beliefs and aspirations of most of his followers, including arguably himself. Ezra Glinter's admirable biography places the Rebbe within the intellectual context of Hasidism and the historical context of Eastern European Jewry. It follows him through his surprising studies in secular institutions in Berlin and in Paris that continued alongside his religious studies. It delves into the politics of leadership and succession within the Lubavitch Hasidic movement, and it goes into Schneerson's role in establishing Chabad Lubavitch in America and its distinctive ideology as the center of a worldwide Jewish outreach program with the Rebbe as its sage and sometimes messianic center. The Rebbe ready to delve into issues both narrow, of interest to individuals who come to seek his advice, and as wide as worldwide issues that presidents and prime ministers came to address. The result of this is a wide-ranging, highly readable, non-partisan work that allows the reader to understand the gifts, the accomplishments, and perhaps the limitations of a man who inspired widespread admiration both in the Jewish and the non-Jewish community as well, while at the same time igniting his own share of controversy. Neither hagiography nor polemic, this is a splendid introduction to a man, his time, his intellectual milieu, his challenges, and his distinctive responses to all of those. Ezra Glinter has written a book that is well worth everyone's attention.
Thank you to Mark, to Edward, to all the members of the jury, and everyone involved with the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards, to Lisa Roy and everybody here at the JCC. Also to my editor, Steven Zipperstein, and everyone at Yale University Press who made this book possible. To my parents who may be watching at this moment. To my sister Leah and her partner Jameson who are in the audience today. I'm often asked what the experience of researching and writing this book was like. And there's not really a single answer to that question. But I want to speak just a little bit about one of the elements of this project that most fascinated me. And that was really the theology of the Rebbe of Menachem Mendel Schneerson, and the ideology that drove him and that inspired him to create, or not to create, but to lead the Chabad movement in the latter half of the 20th century and to really turn it into the worldwide endeavor that I'm sure most of us are previously familiar with. Chabad, like all Hasidism, is essentially a doctrine of radical immanence, meaning that it emphasizes the presence of God in the world, and more than that, the identification of the world with God. To quote Martin Buber, Hasidism can be summed up in a single sentence: God can be beheld in each thing and reached through each pure deed. Chabad goes further than this, though, in many respects. It's a doctrine that is known in English as panentheism. That is distinct from pantheism. The world and God are not synonymous in this view, but the world is a part of God. To use Kabbalistic terminology, God is both Memale Kol Almin, he fills all worlds, but is also Solev Kol Almin, he surrounds all worlds. There's both the immanent and the transcendent aspect. And in certain of his formulations, Chabad goes further to the point where it could be termed a cosmicism, a certain belief that the world, in a certain respect, doesn't exist or isn't real in some way. Just to read a little bit, because it's easier to do that than to try to paraphrase these ideas on the fly. And I spent a long time trying to find the good words for them. So to quote myself, if you'll indulge me, if the question then becomes what the purpose of the world is, if it's all part of God, and the answer, one of the answers that Chabad teaches, is that the purpose of the world is for revelation. God cannot be revealed directly. It's impossible. Anything else could not exist in that situation, but the world places a veil, as it were, over God that allows God paradoxically to then be revealed. If the world is dependent on God for its existence, God too is dependent on the world. Although divinity is infinite and indivisible, it is incapable of self-revelation. So long as God remains alone, there is nothing to which he can be revealed. Yet full and unmediated revelation precludes the presence of anything else, but should be unable to maintain its existence in the face of overpowering divine brilliance. The purpose of the world, therefore, is to reveal divinity through the veil of creation. Paradoxically, the only way God can be revealed is by being concealed. By obscuring the divine light, creation allows it to shine. Following the Kabbalah, from which it drew many of its concepts and terms, Hasidism placed the Jewish people at the center of this purpose. It is the human task, through the performance of the commandments and enactment of the divine will, to reveal God's presence in the world. Now, many of you will know, and as Mark pointed out in his wonderful introduction, that among the more controversial aspects of Schneerson's work and leadership was his unrelenting messianism, to the point that many of his followers considered, and some still do consider him to be the Messiah, and his own position on that is, permanently vague. It's an unanswerable question, really. But you have to ask, I did ask, so what does it mean to be messianic in this case? What is the Chabad conception of the Messiah? So it actually follows directly from what I just mentioned. According to Chabad, the Messianic age signifies not just the repair of the world, but the ultimate revelation of the divine. Although it is axiomatic that direct, unmediated revelation is impossible, redemption allows for the transcendence of this impossibility. Just as God can accompany a unity of opposites, so can the Messianic state. Moreover, this ultimate revelation will not obliterate the world, but will take place within and through the world. Citing Isaiah chapter 40, verse 5, and the glory of God will be revealed, and all flesh shall see together that the mouth of the Lord has spoken. Chabad teaches that in the Messianic era, the revelation of divinity will be perceived by all humanity through the physical senses. This idea that the Messianic age will constitute the ultimate union of the world and God received great emphasis from Schneerson, starting with his first discourse, in which he identified the return of the essential Shekhinah as the task of his generation. So this might all seem a little abstruse, but I bring it up now because this really was the most fascinating and fun part of this entire project. Learning this theology and understanding that this is in fact the core ideology, that when you see a Chabad representative on the street trying to put tefillin on people or handing out Shabbos candles or inviting you to a public menorah lighting, it is all for the purpose of achieving this end of this world in which the divinity is manifest physically to all people in all places. Just to wrap up, again, thank you to everyone for coming today and to the awards and to the jury. This is a great honor, and I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.